Good evening and thanks for joining us. We start off our show with an update to breaking news we shared yesterday regarding a shelter in place in Wahpeton.
The Wahpeton Police Department arrested 37-year-old Sean Lee Lane for shooting a man at 1358 12th Street in Wahpeton. A victim was found outside with a gunshot wound to the chest. When police arrived, they issued a shelter in place for a 6-block radius and evacuated people living in the building. Lane was arrested for attempted murder and discharge of a firearm within city limits. Valley News Live spoke with neighbors today to see how communication was and how they made it through the incident.
I was shocked. I was out of town when it happened here, but I did get the notification, and I was glad the notification came through, and it was just it was very, very interesting that it's happened.
It was several hours that left community members scared as a shelter in place was ordered after 37-year-old Sean Lee Lane shot a 34-year-old man in the chest just on Saturday afternoon. Witnesses told police that the victim was shot by a family member at that address, which led to the shelter in place being issued and residents in the building being evacuated. Kelsey Solberg lives at the next door complex, and she said when she got back to town, she couldn't enter her home.
When I did get back to town, I was unable to get onto the street because they were still making sure everything was all clear before letting residents back down this street since my apartment was so close to it. So
she said it was a very scary situation to stumble upon.
It was a little nerve-wracking, so we did drive down here to see if there was a chance we could get in, but we did see it was like really kind of where everything was taking place, and so
the shelter in place was issued for about 5 hours, and Solberg said she was grateful to have the app that made her aware, and she wants others to be able to get alerts when needed.
And I did find out the correct emergency app, and I think there was a previous one called Code Red, and I don't think everyone got switched over to the new ones. Hopefully, this will help get them into the new Everbridge one in case there is another one.
Like Solberg said, some residents had no idea that the shelter in place was even happening. In our post yesterday, there was some confusion, with some saying it was specific areas, and again, some saying that this was not communicated with them. Valley News Live did reach out to officials for more information on what happened, and we will be sure to bring updates as more details become available.
The Stearns County Sheriff's Office says on Friday, June 2nd, the body of 39-year-old Donald Richard Warden of St. Cloud was found 6:45 p.m. in the Mississippi River.
Deputies say around 6:20 p.m. that night, a boater on the Mississippi River who was near the St. German Street Bridge reported that a body was floating in the water. The body of Donald Warden was taken to the Midwest Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy. And we're wrapping up yet another First Alert weather day in our area. Joining us now in the studio is First Alert Storm Team Shelby Ebertowski. Shelby, how's it looking out there?
Well, guys, like you did say, we did have a First Alert weather day, but it wasn't due to those rain. No, it was due to that rain and that excessive heat we saw earlier. Now, things are calming down here at the Dakota Metro Skycam at the border. You can see that we don't have too much of those breezy winds. However, we are still tracking some rain. Now, most of that heavier rain is out in central North Dakota, even into Minot and just past. However, we do still have some areas just up to the east of Grand Forks and up near Roseau and Baudette. Now, that area is still causing some rain, but we are still tracking some lightning. Now, we do have a little bit of a rainfall area just north of Detroit Lakes that does have some lightning reported. Otherwise, our next area is just near Liggerwood. That does have some lightning, but again, both of these little systems aren't producing much lightning, just one strike or two. Now, with the rainfall reports we've gotten today so far, our leader is Roseau, that got 1.5 inches of rain. Carrington just got 3/4 of an inch of rain, and here in Fargo we got just over 1/2 inch. But guys, we do have more rain in the forecast for the week, but don't go anywhere. I'll have your full forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Shelby, thank you. The Minnesota Department of Transportation has announced lane closures on westbound Highway 10 and Detroit Lakes near Airport Road. Now, this is as a result of pavement buckling. Motorists are advised to exercise caution and expect some delays in the area.
The pavement buckle has affected both lanes of westbound Highway 10, prompting officials to direct traffic temporarily onto the shoulder. This measure has been implemented to ensure the safety of motorists while repairs are being carried out.
According to the Department of Transportation, the estimated duration for these closures are anywhere from 5 to 6 hours or until the completion of any necessary repairs. Motorists are advised to plan their travel accordingly and seek alternative routes if at all possible. Recent video shows conservation officers rescuing farm animals as well as pets in areas affected by fires in Shelburne County, Nova Scotia.
A report from the provincial government said that 5 wildfires have been extinguished and 5 more still remain. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced on Saturday that armed forces personnel would be deployed to assist with fire response in Quebec. Some 30,000 people across Canada are displaced due to forest fires that are burning in nearly all of Canadian provinces.
More than 2.7 million hectares have been scorched so far this year across the country, equal to more than 5 million football fields. Federal Emergency Preparedness Minister Bill Blair has stated. Authorities in India say they have identified the cause of the country's worst train crash in decades. According to the railway master, it was a result of a change in the electronic signaling system. Officials are now clearing the crash site after ending their search for further survivors. So far, more than 270 people have been confirmed dead, with nearly 1,200 taken to local hospitals. India's prime minister has visited some of the injured and promised accountability for the tragedy. Across eastern India, people have been honoring victims with candlelit vigils and flowers. As of now, officials say they will compensate everyone affected by the disaster.
NBC News has learned that the federal grand jury in the Donald Trump classified documents case is expected to meet again this week. The grand jury is meeting after a long hiatus. It's part of the Justice Department's investigation into the former president's handling of classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago. Prosecutors working for special counsel Jack Smith have been presenting the grand jury with evidence and witness testimony for months. It's unclear whether prosecutors are prepared to seek an indictment at this point. The Justice Department has not commented on the status of the investigation. Trump maintains that he has broken no laws and that the investigation is politically motivated.
President Biden recently signing the debt ceiling bill into law and calling it a win for the American people. However, Republicans who want to be the next president have a different interpretation.
CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette reports on the political landscape this weekend from New York.
President Biden posted this video on Twitter of him signing the legislation into law that raises the debt ceiling, averting an economic crisis. On Friday, he addressed the nation from the Oval Office about how the deal was reached.
The only way American democracy can function is through compromise and consensus. And that's what I work to do as your president.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's running for the GOP presidential nomination, wasn't so charitable.
You know, in Florida, we run budget surpluses.
Most of the Republican contenders for president were in Iowa this weekend for the annual Roast and Ride. Former Vice President Mike Pence was also there, riding a motorcycle alongside event host Republican Senator Joni Ernst. He's scheduled to announce his bid for president in Des Moines on Wednesday.
It is great to be back at the Roast and Ride. I rode and I roasted on the ride.
Former President Donald Trump did not attend the event, choosing to visit Iowa on Thursday. The other Republican candidates for president made their pitches to the crowd.
We have crime at an all-time high. We've got an open border, which is a complete dereliction of duty.
What does it mean to be an American? It means you believe in the rule of law. That if you're like my parents, you can come through the front door legally. If you want to follow the rules and pay your taxes, you can come through the front door.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie will also join the very crowded field seeking the Republican nomination, with a scheduled announcement in New Hampshire on Tuesday.
And the new debt ceiling bill that President Biden recently signed into law just yesterday contains stricter work requirements for people receiving food benefits.
A new analysis of Census Bureau data found nearly 4 out of 5 households in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, already have at least one person working. The new rules raise the age that people need to provide proof of work from 18 to 49 to 18 to 54. Conservative leaders say expanding work requirements for people in their early 50s are needed to move more unemployed people into the workforce.
However, the analysis found most families that get food benefits are already working, which shows that poverty is the major challenge they face and not unemployment. And don't forget, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is set to announce his presidential campaign this Wednesday, June 7th at 11:30 a.m. in downtown Fargo.
Valley News Live will be at the event, so be sure to tune in all day long for all the coverage you'll need. And still ahead, the USPS recently released their yearly dog attack summary. We will share more details after the break.
And right now those temperatures are still in those 70s, and even some areas like Thief River already in those 60s. However, our high temp today was 94 degrees, and we're going to continue to stay warm with our morning temperatures at our average high. But I'll have your full temperature forecast coming up next.